Good morning and welcome to Metro Morning Live. I'm Jim Griffith with Griffith Financial Services, and this is our segment, You and Your Money. Today we want to talk about a topic that we discussed about a year ago, and we predicted that this would become a major problem, not just for students and parents, but for the American economy overall. And that is the problem of $1.6 trillion in student loan debt. Student loan debt has increased as a share of national income. Since the 2000s, student loan debt has actually doubled. It has now become a major crisis, not just for students and their parents, but for the future of the U.S. economy. The effect of student loan debt is so serious that it has now exceeded the total credit card debt for the United States of America. Credit card debt in America is $1.78 billion. Actual student loan debt is $1.6 trillion and fastly approaching $2 trillion. This is having a devastating impact on families, children, and their future dreams. It is delaying marriage and the formation of families, which is very important for young students as they graduate from college. It's also causing the odds of marriage to get pushed back by 2%, especially among women that are pursuing advanced degrees and incurring additional student loan debt. Student loan debt is also harming the ability for our young children as they graduate to form businesses. And these young entrepreneurs need access to capital. Unfortunately, they're unable to pay it because they are strapped with student loan payments on a monthly basis, in some cases that exceed $600 to $700 a month. The Federal Reserve recently issued a report that said there is a significant negative correlation between student loan debt and students being able to achieve the dreams that they work so hard for, along with their parents. In 2005 to 2015, 400,000 families actually had to delay the purchase of a home. This is significant because home purchases stimulate the American economy and is also the foundation for building wealth for young Americans. Because student loan debt is such a problem, many students are put in a position where they can't afford to pay the big bills that they've incurred because of student loan debt. This is causing many students to end up paying the bare minimum on student loan debts, and in doing so, student loan payment debt does not decrease, it actually increases because of the high interest rates associated with student loan debt. And in many other cases, it's causing students to actually default on their student loan payments. This is having a negative impact on credit reports and subsequently preventing our young youth from taking advantage and achieving their American dream. Student loan debt is also causing a problem when it comes to starting a savings plan to plan for a comfortable retirement. When our young students graduate from college and have to pay $600 or $700 a month just for a student loan, it prevents them from being able to put money away at an early age to have a comfortable retirement. Student loan debt is actually killing the American dream for our youth when they graduate from college. In America, the student debt load is so high, many students with advanced degrees are taking jobs as waiters, are taking jobs below their skill levels, and they're not able to make the money that they need to achieve the dreams that they work so hard for. Because of this, there's been a big discussion and is a big discussion ongoing as to whether or not the cost of getting a higher education is worth the benefits. The reason for this is multifaceted. One reason is that many companies have increased their job posting criteria in areas where there's plenty of opportunity. Companies have added additional skill requirements. So in addition to having the degree, they also want you to have additional certifications in order to qualify for a position simply at an entry level. The rising cost of tuition is absolutely horrible. If you look at the cost from 1987 to 1988, the annual cost for a college education was $3,000 a year. If we look at the cost of education from 2017 to 2018, the cost has risen to $10,000 a year. When we adjust that for inflation and put that into today's dollars, that is a 213% increase in the cost of getting a college education. So as you can see, student debt is a serious problem, not just for parents, not just for students, but for the American economy overall. We are looking at a potential train wreck and the loss of dreams for our young youth as they graduate from college. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly to discuss this in more detail after this commercial break.
That is Jim Griffith. Now, you heard Jim a moment ago talking about student loan debt crisis, and that is a crisis everybody is concerned about. And Jim, a very timely topic because school is about to come back in. What can be done to help students with this student debt?
Yeah, right now, main thing is that we really need to get a political solution to this student debt problem. It's something that shouldn't have happened in the first place. As wealthy as this nation is, the cost of getting education, whether it's high school, college education, lower degrees, advanced degrees, should be free. Our students are having to graduate and be strapped with student loan debt, and in other countries, they pay for this education. That is an investment in the most valuable asset that you have, and that's your children. And when these children get out of school, they don't have student loan debt. That allows them to accumulate wealth, start saving for retirement, and they actually are able to outperform students here in the United States because of this student debt load that they have. The system needs to be completely reformed, and as I indicated earlier, I think that we can afford in this country, being the wealthiest nation on the planet, to have education free across the board.
Now, until this happens, what can be done to prevent student debt?
Yeah, one of the things that can be done is to start planning for your child's education, as well as we indicated last week, leave your child a living legacy that will last them a lifetime. Now, we talked a bit last week about our child asset builder. This is a book that will be available in the next couple of weeks. And basically what we talk about is how to plan for your child at birth, leave them a generational legacy, and this will also pay for the cost of a college education. It doesn't take a lot of money. We simply need to start at an early age. And by doing that, what we do is actually we provide a roadmap for that child's education, as well as having a roadmap for them to have a meaningful retirement, access to money when they need it, as well as be able to address concerns that have to deal with the elderly when it comes to long-term health care. The problem with student debt is huge. Every political candidate in the Democratic Party right now has student loan debt as part of their plank in their platform and running for the President of the United States. That's just how serious the problem is. I've heard proposals from everything from taxing the wealthy over a course of 10 years to pay off student loan debt, to making student loan debt completely free, student loans, the cost of getting an education, completely free across the board. Now, this problem is so serious, as I indicated earlier. It's not just an economic problem. This is a socioeconomic problem. It's having tremendous psychological effects on our children as they move into the workforce, preventing them from acquiring homes, developing wealth at an early age, planning for retirement so they'll have a comfortable retirement. And so let's do this. Let's take a look at the video clip that I have here that runs about 2 minutes, and it'll show you just the effect that this devastating scourge is having on our children and a potential train wreck for the U.S. economy.
When I first graduated, my goal was to get all my student loans within 5 to 10 years. Then I got into the real world and realized I have no clue.
$10,000.
$75,000.
$54,000.
Over $100,000.
So I feel like the world isn't even looking at me like an asset. They're looking at me as a problem.
I studied to be an actress, and that is a job that requires a lot of financial flexibility, and that's not something I've been able to really pursue. After I graduated from NYU, I had $95,000 in student debts, and today I have about $75,000 in student debt. I've always just managed a full-time and part-time job for the last 4 years almost since I graduated. I pay monthly installments. Sometimes I can only reach the minimum because the minimum's over $800, but I frequently try to pay more on that balance. I've never missed a payment, but it's a pretty heavy burden.
I feel like these student loans, they're basically like a rainy, dark cloud over you everywhere you go. My senior year of college, my father was in active duty in Afghanistan, and he unfortunately passed away. So he was the one that co-signed on one of my loans. And he told me, you know, it would be okay that we would pay it off. Being that he's not here, them continuously calling, it's like, you're not getting this money. There's no way. I can't afford to have fun and live my life and worry about the 4 years of college that I went through to live the life that I wanted. And when you look at the interest, that alone looks like another loan. So then you're looking like, wait, I only took $15,000 out. Why are you at 40 now? And I graduated 5 years ago.
The second I'm done paying off all this debt, I have some big plans for what I'll do with my life. But in the meantime, I have to focus on it.
It just sucks. It's just not fun.
She's right. The interest makes it look like two loans.
Yeah.
You know, she's exactly right.
Exactly right. The student loan debt program was not structured, in my personal opinion, to benefit students. It was structured to benefit financial institutions. When you look at the way it was structured, you can't bankrupt the debt. You can't refinance it. So if you make the minimum payment on it, the debt simply increases over time instead of decreases. If you make the maximum payment on it and you're actually paying it down, now you're not able to purchase a car, you're not able to purchase a home, you're not able to start putting money aside for retirement at an early age so that you can have a comfortable retirement. And what that does in the big scheme of things is it creates a lot of emotional stress, as you just saw, not just on the students, but on the parents who sacrifice and struggle so hard to get their children through college. And then once they graduate, they've got to compete with other students coming from other countries that don't have student loan debt, as well as wealthier families or wealthier children whose parents were able to actually pay for their cost of education. So in a best case scenario, I encourage every student to buckle down, get good grades, qualify and get the grants that they need, the scholarships. Those are very important, whether you're an athlete. If you're an athlete, keep your grades up. Play football, but focus on the most important thing, and that is getting your education. And if we can do that, along with starting a savings plan at an early age, to start saving for retirement with that child asset builder that I mentioned, it will make a difference in generations to come.
And that student debt loan, man, it's like an albatross around your neck. You'd be 50, 60 years old still paying student loan. What if it continues to rise, what would be the effect of the community, of the economy, rather, Jim?
Yeah, the student loan debt has the potential to have a tremendous negative impact on the economy because as students graduate from college, I take myself for an example. I was fortunate enough to be able to get the BEOG grant and some scholarships. So when I graduated, I didn't have any student loan debt. So I was able to, right out the chute, purchase a home, purchase a car, got married when I first got out, shortly after I got out of college. And I was able to continue to do things to be progressive and to be a contributing member to society. And that allowed me to be able to accelerate my career and move forward. Kids today can't do that. We have more people with master's degrees right now that are waiting tables, working as bartenders, and these are people that have PhDs and master's degrees. Companies, because when you move into areas where there's a really, really vibrant economy, they've actually upscaled their job postings. So in addition to having that degree, they also want you to have certain skills and certain certifications. I was reading the Wall Street Journal a couple of days ago. Mercedes-Benz has a full paid advertisement in the Wall Street Journal for mechanics. And what it basically stated was that we need mechanics. The starting salary, without any certifications, was about $45,000. But if you had a college degree and you had what they call the Mercedes-Benz certification, if you will, and that was the ability to operate all of Mercedes-Benz diagnostic equipment, be able to perform work on the cars, and do all the analysis and stuff, that salary jumped up to $110,000 starting salary. So we've got to take into consideration also the effect that technology is having on the ability for people to get jobs. Technology is one of the things that's actually making it more difficult because things are becoming more and more automated. Robotics are coming into play. In addition to that, we are still shifting, no matter what we want to call America first. We're not turning away from a global economy. So we've got to compete in a global economy. In order for America to be competitive, we've got to increase our use of technology and also make sure that we have policies where we develop good partnerships and, more importantly, invest in the most valuable asset we have, and that is our children, and give them a free college education. If they don't deserve anything else in America, we can afford to pay the cost of a college education for our children.
Absolutely. Well, Jim, great information as always, and let everybody know how they can find you.
Absolutely. You can get in contact with us at 800-361-6542, or you can go to our website, griffithfinancialservices.com. Just go over to the right-hand side, in the lower right, you'll see a little button that says Contact Us. Click on that button, send us an email, and we'll get back with you within a brief period of time.
All right. You have any plans in the upcoming days, Jim? The big 4th of July weekend?
4th of July, I'm going to try to get a little rest, Rob. And like you, I'm trying to eat a little meat.
All right. Well, stay with us. We come back, we'll show you a passing of the torch at Wimbledon. Stay with us.